Okay. Um, well, I got to redo the translations currently up. So, if you remember back when, over a year ago, when I used to do these, back with an older version of the OCR and translator, where I was using DeepL, and I knew zero Japanese, as opposed to a tiny bit, I used to, at the beginning of each recording, list out the differences between in some it's hard to like itemize them, right? Because it's like continuously different, but between the remake and the original game, as itemized as I could get them. And then you'll notice that although I kind of mentioned that list earlier in the second tranche, I never actually put it in the recording, and I eventually stopped mentioning it. And the primary reason is this stage in my life, particular life era, I have fewer opportunities to record as previously, and they tend to be short. They're often like 1 hour windows. And that's why the durations of these have been suddenly decreased. And I could splice them together, but that's work, right? So I don't. And the YouTube algorithm actually likes it better if you have smaller pieces to a point, right? It doesn't like to feed people 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 hour long videos. Um, and so I don't want to waste, because these opportunities are few and small. I don't want to waste time within the opportunity doing something else besides the gameplay, which is the most important thing. So that's why I'm not going through it that's why I'm not doing that anymore at the moment. Um, if I wanted to rapid fire it for the kids side, I would rapid fire it as, say, the kind of a joke like thing where you kind of threatens to shove pain medication up the kid's butt is removed. In the original game, when the kid and you are fleeing from the infirmary while Lemu is flooding, there are two like stages to that. One where you drags the kid out of the corridor they're in, barely making it out of the corridor before the shutters close to stop the flooding. Then somehow, right after that, I forget exactly the details, you just passes out, and then the kid has to drag you out of a second corridor before the shutter to it closes as it's flooding. I don't believe the kid was passed out in the first stage, it's just that he just wasn't going anywhere, and so the kid had to drag him. You had to drag him anyway. Of course, I forget the details of that. I forget why you passes out. Anyway, the Xbox is only one corridor they flee out of. They cut the two stages out, and it's more like you drag the kid out. Now they don't really make it like a drag. They kind of make it so they mutually go together, but you's kind of leading the way. While they're holding hands, is the picture they tried to portray a little bit more so than you dragging the kid. They wanted to make it seem like romantic right off the start for some reason, but they made that shorter. Then what floor they're on at what time is really confusing in the remake. Because they both have a scene that's extremely similar. It's very lightly changed, if at all, where they find Sara trapped in an elevator. But the text says they do that on Dritte stock, which you would think would have to be. They couldn't have done it on Erbsen because the elevator was above the floor. However, you would think they would start and end on Erbsen. The infirmary that the kid would have been in would be the one on Erbsen, you would think. And they meet up with Tsugumi, Sora, and Takeshi, quote unquote, in the same place in Erbsen. And the escape pods in Sector 5, which I thought they were going for, I thought were on Erbsen. So why would they be on Dritte stock to rescue Sara out of an elevator? That's really unclear. I don't get what's going on there. Of course, the elevator that they got rescued Sara out of was on Dritte stock in the original. So maybe they just kind of got lazy and didn't modify the original text there. But the scene doesn't make sense if they're on Earthstone. They have to be at least Vitae stock. Anyway, of course, they have to fit it into the format laid out by the Takeshi side, which was way more rewritten. But that's like redundant with the Takeshi side list of things. When they go to fix the generator, well, first of all, okay. First, Tsugumi does explicitly introduce herself and gives her name, as opposed to the so-called Takeshi giving her name, because she won't even say what her name is. When they fix the generator, we don't see Tsugumi explicitly refuse to go help fix the generator like we do in the original. She just doesn't show up in the scene. If that would happen, that happens off screen. Then when they go to do the fixing the generator, the way the characters that move around is a bit different. They split up to go to the pipe room, to find the pipe room, as opposed to in the original where they all go together. And then they don't send Sara back to stay behind in front of the generator like they did in the original. How you can switch between talking to you and talking to Sara is who you want to go look for the pipe room with, and then who you want to hang out with when you're waiting around for the generator to cool down after you close the valves in the pipe room. The conversation with you is that you would have while fixing the generator in the original seems to be split between talking with her in the hallway and when you fix the generator, although it contains mostly the same content, they didn't really change it that much. So they might, if anything, they made it wordier, they made it more clear, and made the transitions of the trains of thought better. However, it makes it less clear how they're going to change things when you try to do the Sara route, because it might cut out half the conversation. So we'll see. The joke with the tuna, I don't know if it's really a joke, but more stuff was done and more hay was made over the frozen tuna. And they actually eat it, as opposed to the original where they don't eat it. We don't know how to cook this, so they just discarded it. Tsugumi is not as mean, generally. She does actually play kick the can with everybody. And she even, participates. She doesn't, just lay there like she does on the Takeshi side. Whereas, in the original game, she just lays there like she does the Takeshi side. And she isn't actually participate, supposedly, the Takeshi side. She just is just in the room. They take the mystical stuff out of it, out of the kick the can they had in the original. They don't make it so they don't know who kicked the can. They explicitly say that it's Tsugumi who kicks the can. The kid never actually gets to play, unlike the original where the kid is up the Oni and the kid gets to play. Sort of like how they changed it in the Takeshi side. The confrontation that occurs between Sara and Tsugumi is a little bit more clearly defined. What they're arguing on, why they don't like each other, is a little bit more, stated. It's Sara thinks that Tsugumi is orchestrating some experiment on her, perhaps, and she's the one who caused the methane explosion. Whereas in the original game, it's unclear why Sara is mad at Tsugumi. I had my own hypothesis, which I laid out in my 10-hour-long video. But my hypothesis was far different from what they came up with for this remake. Also, the scene kind of goes down differently. You don't have a CG. You don't actually see it, although it happens in the same room. It happens in the infirmary. That being said, the CG still exists in the game. So it'll show up later somehow, I presume. Also, Tsugumi isn't really that bad. She's just kind of calm, whereas in the original, she gets kind of mad. Now, you chase after Tsugumi. The things might be rearranged wrong. I forgot when the analogous scene I'm thinking of happens in the original game. It might happen later. I don't know. But you do have you do chase after Tsugumi afterwards, like you do in the original game, and you do have a similar conversation with her that you do in the original game. That being said, you do sit down with her on a bench in the rest area, as opposed to just confronting her while just standing up in the boarding area for the jellyfish gondola. which they kind of have to do because the jellyfish gondola isn't available in the setting yet. When you asked Sara to help her hack into... Oh, well, we're getting back to hacking into Remake here. So, in the original game, the password for... that you find by rotating the paper doesn't actually work. And somewhere later in the game, it explains it, but I forgot when in the game, that you was typing in the username Yuki Tanaka, but that was actually the password for Yoiki's account, not Yuki's. Although probably Yuki did work for Leiblich, that's where she met Yoiki. It would have been a long time since she did so, and who was Yu's mother, who claimed to you to be Yuki Tanaka, was not actually Yuki Tanaka. She was Yubisei Harukana Tanaka. So she would actually log in that way. And so she thought, basically, the Yubisei Akikana Tanaka is trying to log into her mom's account, and it doesn't make any sense because she's using her grandmother sort of name instead of her mom's name, which maybe the account's so outdated it's not even in the system, and that's not the password. The password that her mom gave her wasn't even her password, it was Yoiki's password. In the remake, they make it so it does work, and I get why they do that. They want to, like, pay off, right? They don't want your kid to, like, get the right answers, get the password, and the password just, like, doesn't work. So they do something that's kind of silly, and they make it so there's two passwords. The reason why that's silly is it doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just make a password that's twice as long? A same type of authentication a second time is worthless, right? But they do that because they want to try to make it so that whatever you find actually works for something. So in both cases, of course, because it doesn't work, they have to have Sara hack it anyway. And in the remake, they make a bigger deal about you actually being concerned about involving Sara in a crime, demonstrating that you actually cares about Sara. And then it kind of opens up more clues about Sara's past earlier, because you figure out that Sara has a beef with Leiblich, and so she doesn't care. Whereas that wouldn't be revealed until much later in the original game. And that's just continuing the reoccurring pattern of the remake giving you hints of the answers to twists earlier than the original game did. Also, we see Sara trying to learn how to swim earlier than we did in the original game as well. Yeah. Because you have to wait till you have to do that in the Sara route in the original game, but here it's happening what appears to be a U route. Anyway. That's what I can think of at the top of my head right now. I will say that, yes, most of the changes they made on the Takeshi side were bad. But on this side, well, whether not they're good or bad or not, they're kind of neutral. But I can really see why they did them, right? They made Tsugumi less mean. Because if you like read the subreddit for Ever17 and such, you figure out that people don't really understand why Tsugumi was acting the way she did in 2034 and why she was so mean. So we're making Tsugumi like, less mean, right? It kind of makes sense. And the way they've redone these conversations isn't making them a whole lot different than the original, unlike the Takeshi side where they completely changed everything in the Sora route to be completely different. They just kind of tweaked them. And they didn't seem to really mess them up in the way they tweaked them. If anything, they made them a little better. So I'm actually liking the remake, unironically, or whatever you want to say, surprisingly, on the kids side. And it is much less remade on the kids side. They will have to completely change the way the U route ends, though, because the way it ends, like, at least, like, the setting-wise, in the original game is very dependent on the structure the specific structure of Lemieux and the way it flooded, which they've done away with completely here. So they're gonna, the whole like using the air pump, the high pressure pump to push air out of the central, push water out of the central shaft thing. They haven't even like, they haven't set up that hint for that later in here like they did in the original. So I would presume they're not going to use that. They haven't established that mechanic. And then the whole siphon thing, they haven't set that up either. I guess they could shoehorn them in the end. They still have that option because they haven't made a geometry of Lemieux or a situation in Lemieux that excludes the possibility. They just haven't set it up like the original game would have set it up. Also, they haven't heard the arguments about whether or not you should put sugar in your coffee or not. In the original game, the kid likes to put sugar in his coffee, and you likes to drink your coffee black. Here, you explicitly ask the kid to put 2 sugars in her coffee, which is kind of not it. So, interesting. The argument about sugar in your coffee is like alluded to in Remember 11. They would break that continuity. But again, I think the Ever17 Xbox remake is probably not supposed to really be continuous with the other games in the Infinity series. They were just trying to make Ever17 by itself as a standalone thing, a remade. That being said, references to Never 7 have not been deleted yet. We still have Puro Ping Pong Don show up again. However, old school Cure I don't think has been mentioned. I don't remember exactly. Because in the Sora route, the original, which I haven't played the Sora route here, you specifically talks to Takeshi about the type of Cure syndrome discussed in Ever 7. I forget if it actually happens in the remake. They might have cut that out. Anyway, finally get back to this. That was like 17 minutes. Oh, I'll do anything you do, senpai, if it's for you, is the line I loaded in on. Sara's gaze suddenly wandered and her body wobbled. Oh, and another thing that's different about this side, they're really leaning into this. So, in the original game, they have this one CG, and it's a whole CG. It's not like a one line. There's a CG that's like this like temporary like gag that where you just move on from it and just don't mention it again. Sort of like thrown in there sort of thing. Of like a Sara and Sora, right? They decided in this remake to just lean into that way harder and just pepper you with a bunch of these like Sara XU stuff. Anyway, they don't just like throw it in like at one place, like just like passively. It's like that you didn't see anything. Mayo. Mayo. You supported Sara as she staggered.
Mayo, どうしたの?
Oh, they're gonna put in like a Mayo, what's wrong?
さすがにちょっと頭がオーバーヒートしちゃったみたい。
I wonder what they're doing here. I thought this was like going into that joke, but then they may not be exactly. Introducing Sara having a health condition is kind of weird. It's a little, my head feels like it's overheating. The way they portrayed Sara in the original game was like, Sara is extremely robust. Like, oh, how exactly? Well, because she swims to the surface from Vitae stock at the end. And somehow does not get severe brain damage from a partial drowning. Like, she somehow was like just the same as before. Even though she gets partial drowned really bad. Anyway.
マヨ、あなた。
So my head feels like it's overheating. Okay, that suggests she has a fever. And use like Mayo. Okay, Anata is just you. Yeah.
ちょっと休めば大丈夫ですから。
Okay, I need to rest a bit. I'll be fine. I guess there's a way you can use Kara. I still haven't figured out all the uses of Kara yet. I'll just take a break and I'll be fine. Yasumi meba. It would be there's the break. Sara leaned against you.
おやすみなさいみんな。
Then she says, "Good night, everyone." Wait, does that mean she's just gonna collapse? Sara quietly closed her eyes. And then I heard her quiet breathing. Wait, she can just fall asleep standing up?
マヨ
Mayo? Well, I mean, she could just pass out. You gently patted Sara's head. I picked Sara up and gently laid her down in the infirmary. Or it could be a we. No, it's boku wa. So it's the kid, okay. How's Sara doing?
マヨの体に異常はないわ。ただ疲れて眠っているだけみたい。
There's nothing wrong with Mayo's body. She's just tired and sleeping. You, who had looked into Mayo's condition, answered without looking at the medical terminal monitor. So she doesn't know. Thank you.
マヨご苦労様。
Mayo, thank you very much. So this is not what I expected, because I expected it to just... in the original game, Sora actually starts looking up Yoichi's information herself. Now that she has figured out a way to like break the blocks on her doing it, and then she starts telling you all the information. Right there in that same scene, like the scene just continues, and I think Sara is there to witness it. It doesn't break, right? This is different. They're like waiting for that to happen. Interesting. You gently looked at the sleeping Sara.
松永さんは大丈夫ですか？
Is Matsunaga-san okay? A worried-looking Sora appeared in the infirmary. Looks like she's okay. So how is it on your end? Since the entire Lemu system has been stopped, Sora has been adjusting it until now. Oh, okay. Makes sense.
はい
会場のレミューに今のところ問題はありませんでした。
And there's like Takeshi and Sara somewhere, Tsugumi somewhere, like, what's with that loud squealing noise? And what's going on? It's like, don't come and investigate. Yes, there have been no problems with Lemu in the sea so far. Well, I mean, there's lots of problems, just no new ones, right?
ただ、あのデバイスが。
It's just that device over there. That device. But Ano was like that, but it's kind of like, what's that word in Spanish? It's like, Japanese is kind of like Spanish, where you have a this, you have a close that and a far that. I forgot how it works. Like Spanish is esta and then there's esa. There's like a longer one. But anyway, ano is like the long that. But you can just translate it that, and like, but an English speaker would just typically just say that, where a Japanese speaker would say ano. Like some language learning app like Duolingo might actually tend to make you say over there every time you see ano, just so that to make sure the English speaker learning Japanese remembers that ano is the far that. But.
いえ、調整に手間取りましたが、現状問題はないです。
If you're curious, this is Kono. Close that is Sono, far that is Ano. Here is Koko. There is Soko. Far there is Asoko. It's not Ako, it's Asoko. There's that silly song. I don't know anything about Smile.dk, so if you look into their stuff and find out there's something that I shouldn't have recommended, then okay, it's not my fault. But they made that silly song, Koko Soko Asoko, where are you, my heart? And it's kind of, what adds to the silliness is that they put an American English accent on it. It's Asoko, but they sing Asoko. No, it took some time to adjust it, but there's no problem with the current situation. So it won't be a problem for you to escape. It won't be a problem for us to escape. I'm glad.
Hi.
Yes. Well, there will be a problem, but we'll get there. Sora smiled as she said that. I wonder if how they changed the ending for the U route, since they haven't set, well, they theoretically could do it the same way in the original, but they haven't set it up the way the original does. They actually just escape in the sub. Jonah-san, that is. Okay, Sora smiled as she said that. I already read that. After what happened, it doesn't look like there's a problem with Sora either. Well, we don't know if she could break in, but... Honto, which is an abbreviation of Honto ni. It's like, I'm glad. It's like, just to confirm.
そうですね。
I probably already mentioned this, but it's a funny thing about English. Say this word really, right? Well, it kind of has two meanings. One of them is like actual. It's like a synonym of actually, right? No, what I'm it's or truly, right? It's emphasizing that I'm telling the truth. The other is like a synonym of very. It just emphasizes the degree. And we don't really have a whole lot of trouble telling which one the speaker means. It seems obvious to us English speakers by the context, whether they'd be advocating for the degree of something or the truthfulness of something. But what's really weird is that in Japanese, there's this word hontoni. It's an adjective that seems to do the same thing. It seems to emphasize trueness or extent. And the reason why that's weird is because I thought in English that was a really weird thing to do. But two languages seem to do it that are completely unrelated. Anyway. Hey, can you tell me something? How about it's about Sara? Okay. Just how did Sara rewrite Sora?
そうですね。強いて言えば自由にしてくれたんです。大富豪の革命みたいに。
It's like, just how kludged is it? How well documented was her work? So it's not documented at all because she was writing pure code. It's like, is there a quadruple nested for loop in there somewhere? Like how spaghetti did she do it? Is a bunch of go-tos? That's right. If I had to say, I am free, just like the what? You would think there'd be a wrong kanji in there, but the kanji seem to all be correct. The revolution of a millionaire. Does that mean it's like I don't have to work anymore because I'm free? I don't have to work anymore because my money is enough to make money on its own. Revelation, the Google Translate says revolution by a millionaire, which seems to make less sense. She said, well, if I had to say, it gave me freedom, like a revolution by a millionaire. Okay. I'm guessing it's just an idiom in Japanese, I just don't understand the idiom. Millionaire? Like, what's even weird about that is, I don't see... Well, actually, I don't know the kanji for million, so it might be in there. I only know up to mon, I think, which is 10,000. And it probably shows up in the lyrics to Shoka Baiado, like the big numbers. But I don't recall seeing any of those in the lyrics. But at least the first kanji is big.
最下位の一端末にしか過ぎない私を最上位であるシステム管理者に変えてくれたということです。
What's surprising is what I was trying to say before I got sidetracked is I don't see the kanji for gold in there. You'd think if it something to do with wealth, the way it would be written would have that kin in there somewhere. Or a kanji that meant money, but I don't actually know a kanji that means money generally. I know the one for yen, but that's the currency unit, not money generally. Anyway, she changed me. I was nothing more than a terminal at the very bottom. And I was turned into a system administrator at the very top. I don't really get it, but... I just redefined me to administrator. Okay. She caused me to inherit from the administrator class. In other words, you don't need to get in the way of us anymore.
そういうことです。
Which is something like, that is right, but there's so many ways to end that. Exactly. Okay.
ですが、そのためにここの施設の管理をしていたインゼルヌルにあるレミ LMN04 とは強制的に切り離されてしまいました。
So there's so much I still don't understand about Japanese, right? If you wanted to say exactly, you could have just said so desu, right? Now the translator probably wouldn't render that exactly. He would probably just would render that as that's true or yes. So I guess so you koto des puts more emphasis on it. But like I don't know the difference between the two. I just be like, is that another slight variation on so, you know? I don't know how the construction of it works. But for that reason, I was forcibly separated from LN in 04, the Lemay and Incel Null to manage the facility here. Okay.
なので、先ほどまでここの施設の全管理を私が引き継ぐ処理をしていたわけです。
This is how Lemay protects itself. That's why, until just a little while ago, I was taking over the entire management of this facility. I don't really get that, but okay. So you mean Lemay can't do it anymore? Then looks like Sora is the boss here.
私はボスじゃありませんけど、そんなところですかね。
I'm not the boss, but I guess that's approximately correct. That's right, if Sora is the boss. And by the way, that is boss written out in katakana, so that is boss. They're not saying Japanese word for boss, they are saying straight up boss. Then use father's plan. What do you mean scattered? What is oh. Trying to figure out which is messed up. So let's put this in Google Translate, because I know it's kanji, but I don't know which word kanji corresponds to. If that's right, if Sora is the boss, she'll be able to easily scatter things like use father, right? So it's probably not scatter, it's just find.
それは、すみません。できないんです。
Well, I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, that's a change. Why? Sora is free, isn't she?
私のメモリーの中には、田中さんのお父さんに関する情報はないんです。
I don't have any information about Tanaka-san's father in my memory. Which would make sense because she restarted 17 years ago. She would have lost all her memories of what happened. Not that she even interacted with Yu's father. Well, the 2017 one would have when she was younger, though. I'm going to do something that might do weird stuff on the recording. My microphone has the orange blinking light. It's not going to affect, okay. Like, I'm not going to lose the audio because I know at least if mic aux is showing activity in OBS, that it's putting my audio in the video. But it's still unnerving to see my headphone, like, my microphone not completely happy. Okay. I fixed it. Then Sara worked so hard. Or she was just trying to get the password.
すみません。私、お役に立てなくて。
I'm sorry, I couldn't be of any help.
いいのよ、少年。サラ。みんな、私のために頑張ってくれたんだから、それだけで十分よ。
It's like, I wouldn't expect Sora to have stuff about Yu's father in her memory anyway, because that's not what she did. Like, in the original game, she managed to get permission to search Lemire herself for information. It didn't say that Sora had the information herself. She was like looking it up in the database. It's okay, the kids. Sora, everyone did their best for me, so that's enough. It's like, it's the thought that counts.
ありがとう、みんな。
So, thank you, everyone. But you...
らしくないですよ、先輩。
Sara's like, I'm here, remember? That's not like you, senpai. It's like the awkward moment when they woke up from anesthesia and you didn't know it yet. Happened to nurses in my case once. They're like talking about me in my room. It's like, hey, so... oh. Everyone's eyes turn to the bed. At some point, Sara had gotten out of bed.
目的のためなら手段を選ばない。いつものナッキョ先輩でいてくださいってば。
If it's for the sake of my goal, I'll do whatever it takes. Please be your usual self. Well, I thought her goal would just be to escape here, but I guess she has more higher goals now. We're gonna make Sara more complicated. Fluttering her hands, she says it in a very carefree tone. I feel the same way about that. Yeah, that's right. I'm going crazy. Okay. That seems correct. I'm going to put Google Translate on that just in case. Yes, it does throw you off balance. Oh, okay.
はい、私もそう思います。
So it's not like I'm going crazy, it's just like I'm going a little tilted. Yes, I think so too.
みんな。
Everybody. Yu's eyes are filled with tears.
それじゃあ、湿っぽいのはここまでにするか。
Well then, let's stop being so gloomy. You mean just you? Maybe I'll stop being so gloomy. You smiled bashfully at them. Or us.
あれ、私のカバンは？
Where's my what? Let's see if I can... The meaning of this is completely dependent on that kanji. There's no way for me to tell what this is apart from it, so I have to dither my stuff in hopes I can capture it. There we go. Where's my bag? And that might be really important because she might have a gun in it. Okay, so now we know what the kanji for bag is. Kaban is how you pronounce it. Kabante bag. Oh, the bag Sara always carries around. I think I left it in the control room. Oh no.
そう。
She goes, oh, that true? Sara got out of bed and staggered toward the door. If you're looking for the bag, I'll go get it.
いい、私が取りに行くから。ノートパソコンもそのままだし。
We have to remember that she was also in the, like, trying to learn how to swim too. When was her bag when she was doing that? She wouldn't have had her bag on her. I'll go get it. The computer... Oh, the Noto Pasocon is laptop. is still there. Okay, so she did have a laptop she did plug into Lemire to do the hacking, so I forgot about that. That was also from the bag. With that, Sara left the room.
ちょっと待ってよマヨ、あなたまだ寝てなくちゃ。
Like, wait a minute, Mayo. You still have to sleep. It's not like she still has to sleep. It's just she's just like staggering. You left the room chasing after Sara. We have a conversation with Sora. Okay, Sora and I also followed. Yeah, okay. Sora and I followed behind. Okay, so we're going back here. Are we going to continue to get the info dump now? In the end, we all moved to the control room to retrieve Sara's notebook, computer, and bag.
別にただ回収しに来ただけなんだから、
Excuse me.
みんなで来ることはなかったのに。
I was just here to retrieve it, so we didn't have to come here together. Yeah, but we thought you might fall over and hit your head.
だってマヨがまだふらついているのに取りに行くって聞かないから。
Get to cognitive function degradation. Because Maya was still staggering around and won't listen to me, saying that she's gonna go get it.
あれ？
That's kind of like, huh? They're both gone. Oh, I could see how this could really heat up. Like, they're both gone, right? And then it's because Tsugumi is trolling for some reason, and she just took them. Because, like, Ryogo wouldn't have done that, right? It would be Tsugumi. Tsugumi just grabbed the stuff. And then Sara's like, you again! You're behind all this. And then, why'd you do that? And then it's this big fight. Which for some reason Tsugumi wanted to pick. I don't know why she picked that fight. Sara appeared with the laptop still connected to the terminal. Oh, so it's there.
天地人三兄弟が戻ってる？
The three brothers of Tenchi are back. The three brothers of Tenchi. Well, I mean, that is the brother kanji. So it says the three brothers of heaven and earth have returned. Interesting. So that does seem... So this does mean heaven. This does mean brother. This does mean three. This is person. I think this means earth. Oh, that just combines and makes younger brother. Okay. That means Omoto. Interesting. So the three younger brothers of heaven and earth have returned. Well, that seems kind of Lemu-ish, but the kid's like, what does that mean? Three brothers from heaven and earth?
私の作ったコンピューターワームの名前よ。
It's the name of the computer worm I made. Oh, okay. So it got back. It worked its way back through.
大義でござった。
It has all the information. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Oh, so now she has all the info. Sara toyed with the notebook computer.
何かデータを持って帰ってきたみたいだけど、フォーマットが違いすぎてこっちじゃ開くの無理かな。
Like, oh, the data's all encrypted or something. Let's see here. It looks like it came back with some data, but the format is so different that I don't think I can open it here.
ソラ、そっちの端末に送るから解析手伝ってくれない？
Sara, I'll send that. If I send it to that terminal, can you help me analyze it?
わかりました。
Understood. Is that really the case?
そう。ナッキュ先輩のご両親の情報、何か入手できたみたい。
And I'll have to stop here specifically. So we'll finally get the info dump. Probably next time I record. Okay.
本当なの？
Oh, got another really. Hit the wrong button.